We will have a hard landing at some point, I guarantee you that, Michael Snyder reports. Can you guess who the quote in the article title is from? I'll give you a hint. It was not me. I know that it sounds like it could have come from me, but it actually comes from a very big name on Wall Street. Ellen Zentner is Morgan Stanley's chief U.S. economist, and she is the one that said it. During an interview with CNBC, she warned that the tightening impacts from monetary policy will have enormous consequences on the U.S. economy in the months ahead. We will have a hard landing at some point, I guarantee you that. We're all wondering, when does that come, she said. The point that Dimon makes is that there are these cumulative impacts that build over time, and we are in the camp that we have not yet seen all of the tightening impacts from monetary policy, she added, referring to the impact of Fed rate hikes. She makes a really great point. The consequences of interest rate hikes are felt over time. Higher interest rates have certainly started to cause a lot of problems, but if rates are not brought down soon, the level of pain that we are experiencing will begin to go up dramatically. Unfortunately, the Fed is not likely to reduce interest rates anytime soon because inflation continues to run hotter than expected. Inflation increased by the largest amount in almost a year, according to the Fed's preferred measure, confirming expectations interest rates will not be cut until around June. The so-called Core Personal Consumption and Expenditures (PCE) index, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, increased 0.4% between December and January. Marko Kolanovic, the chief market strategist for JP Morgan Chase, believes that the U.S. economy could be headed into something like 1970s stagflation. In an analyst note to clients, the bank's chief market strategist, Marko Kolanovic, warned that the economy may turn away from a Goldilocks scenario in which it is not expanding or contracting by too much and enter a period of stagflation similar to that experienced in the 1970s. Going back to the question of market macro regime, we believe that there is a risk of the narrative turning back from Goldilocks towards something like 1970s stagflation, with significant implications for asset allocation, Kolanovic wrote. I would argue that we have already been in a period of stagflation. The economy has certainly been stagnating and inflation has been unacceptably high. But now conditions have taken a dramatic turn for the worse in early 2024, and we're seeing some very troubling signs. For example, I was stunned to learn that a Canadian pension fund has just sold a stake in a Manhattan office tower for just $1. $1? A Manhattan office tower for $1? Canadian pension funds have been among the world's most prolific buyers of real estate, starting a revolution that inspired retirement plans around the globe to emulate them. Now the largest of them is taking steps to limit its exposure to the most beleaguered property type, office buildings. Canada Pension Plan Investment Board has done 3 deals at discounted prices, selling its interest in a pair of Vancouver Towers, a business park in Southern California, and a redevelopment project in Manhattan, with the New York State stake offloading for the eyebrow-raising price of just $1. The worry is those deals may set an example for other major investors seeking a way out of the turmoil too. The Canada Pension Plan Investment Board had a 29% stake in Manhattan's 360 Park Avenue South. The plan was to redevelop that property, but at this point the outlook for office buildings is so bad that the pension fund just wanted out. And so the entire 29% stake was sold off for just $1. Do you remember when I warned that we're heading into worst commercial real estate crash in history? Well, this is what a crash looks like. Meanwhile, large employers all over America continue to conduct mass layoffs. Today I was saddened to learn that Electronic Arts is laying off approximately 700 workers. Another day, another round of mass layoffs in the games industry. Electronic Arts, EA, has announced it will cut around 5% of its employees, putting almost 700 people out of a job. It's also canceling games and shutting down at least one development studio. EA CEO Andrew Wilson announced the layoffs in an email to employees, which was subsequently posted to the company's blog on Wednesday. And we just learned more details about the layoffs that Citigroup is conducting. Citigroup is cutting nearly 300 workers in New York as it continues its mass layoff spree in an effort to rein in expenses, according to filings with the State Labor Department. About 239 workers in the primary banking subsidiary, 44 from its broker-dealer unit, and 3 from its technology arm are getting cut, according to Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification WARN notices filed this week. In early January, the company announced that it was cutting 20,000 roles over the medium term as part of a reorganization effort. The cuts are slated to save the company between $2 billion and $2.5 billion. You can imagine thousands and hundreds of thousands of people being laid off in these past few months of this year. Bewildering. And all these people have to find jobs, obviously. Now, we have not seen anything like this since the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. And on Thursday, Zero Hedge published a list of 50 different mass layoffs that we have seen recently. 1, everybody, 100% of workforce. 2, Ysense, 100% of workforce. 3, Coatesy, 100% of workforce. 4, Twig, 100% of workforce. 5, Twitch, 35% of workforce. 6, Roomba, 31%. 7, Bumble, 30%. 8, Farfetch, 25% of workforce. 9, Away is 25%. 10, Hasbro, 20%. 11, LA Times, 20% of workforce. 12, Wint Wealth, 20% of workforce. 13, Finder, 17% of workforce. 14, Spotify, 17% of workforce. 15, BuzzFeed, 16% of workforce. 16, Levi's, 15% of workforce. 17, Xerox, 50% of workforce. 18 is Qualtrics, 14% of workforce. 19, Wayfair, 13% of workforce. 20, Duolingo, 10% of workforce. 21, Rivian, 10%. 22, Washington Post, 10%. 23, Snap, 10%. 24, eBay, 9%. 25, Sony Interactive, 8%. 26, Expedia, 8% of workforce. And I'm just going. 27, Business Insider, 8%. 28, Instacart, 7%. 29, PayPal, 7%. 30, Okta, 7%. 31, Charles Schwab, 6%. 32, DocuSign, 6%. 33, Riskyfield, 6%. 34, EA, 5%. 35, Motional, 5%. 36, Mozilla, 5%. 37, Vacasa, 5%. 38, Cisco, 5%. 39, UPS, 2%. 40 is Nike, 2%. 41, BlackRock, 3%. 42, Paramount, 3%. 43, Citigroup, 20,000 employees. 44, Tyson Krupp, 5,000 employees. 45, Best Buy, 3,500 employees. 45, Best Buy, 3,500 employees. 46, Barry Callebaut, 2,500 employees. 47, Outback Steakhouse, 1,000 employees. 48, Northrop Grumman, 1,000 employees. 49, Pixar, 1,300 employees. 50, Perrigo, 500 employees. Just look at that list. This is nuts. And that anyone that thinks that the U.S. economy is heading in the right direction is simply being delusional. Greg Hunter just interviewed economist analyst David Morgan, and he's warning that we are actually entering into a global depression, the likes of which the world has never seen. Economic analyst and financial writer David Morgan has gone against the majority in the past with predictions that seemed unbelievable at the time. One prediction last year is the Fed not cutting interest rates in 2023. The Fed didn't, and Morgan is still predicting there will be no Fed interest rate cuts anytime soon. Now, with a record high stock market, Morgan is predicting we are entering into a global depression, the likes of which the world has never seen. Global central banks were able to delay the inevitable by flooding the system with colossal amounts of money, but that just created a tremendous amount of inflation, and now a horrifying economic crisis is coming anyway. So I would encourage everyone to brace themselves for the hard landing that's rapidly approaching, because it's going to be exceedingly painful for the unprepared. Michael Snyder reports on the Economic Collapse blog. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon.com. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Time, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on the other websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media account is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.